We are called to order. This Planning Commission meeting convenes on the ancestral territories of the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe. Who would like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Wendy.
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And a roll call.
Let's see. Commissioner Van Zant is absent. Commissioner Brown?
Here.
Commissioner Ermshar?
Here.
Commissioner Cobden?
Here.
And Chair Nye?
Here. Russell Hildebrand is also here, our attorney. Okay, hearing from the public. Public comments on items not on the agenda today are welcome and are limited to 3 minutes. Action or discussion by the commission may not occur at this time. So if there's any public comment for anything not on today's agenda, now's the time. Anyone online, Amy?
Hold on. If anyone out there in Zoom land would like to make a virtual comment or a comment over Zoom, raise your virtual hand, please.
Yes. Okay.
And I'm not seeing anybody.
Anyone in person? And welcome, hello to everybody who's here in person. Consent calendar, we have 2 items. Do I name them? Approval of?
Yes, but I was going to suggest we pull, I didn't actually mean to put the tree on consent. It's just usually where I put trees, but this one I did want to just bring up. And I'm not actually asking you guys to take action on that one, so.
Okay. So, so that one's pulled out of the, because we're going to discuss it?
Right, yes.
Something from Brian, perhaps?
I didn't ask Brian to be here,
Oh, okay.
so I can talk about it.
Okay, he made recommendations.
Yes,
All
yeah.
right. So the consent calendar only consists of approval of the September 15th meeting minutes, and
I move that we approve the meeting minutes.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Hey, Rod, can you pass me a tablet, please? Oh.
Oh, yeah. Colors for a later item. Okay, meeting minutes are approved. So next is, shall we discuss the tree removal then at this time?
Yes, sorry, let me get my staff report up. And I apologize, I'm working with a new computer and things are all not where I'm used to, so bear with me here. Okay, so the city has, we have arborist reports on 3 trees. We did get requests from adjacent property owners to remove all 3 trees. One is the large chestnut that's over here on Spring Street, and the other one are 2 sugar maples on Main Street. The chestnut is very likely be, given its size and the type of tree it is, it's very likely a Felix Gillet. And so we're really just bringing this to Planning Commission as a courtesy. City engineer, based on this, the arborist report has already determined that the tree does pose a risk to city property and a liability to the city if limbs or things fall. The chestnut is actually is compromising the foundation of an adjacent building, and the maples have dropped limbs on the adjacent house, and there's some concern that they're starting to age out, and we'll have these issues more and more, especially in storms. And so the arborist is suggesting that they be removed. We have brought Felix Gillets to the commission that are on city property, even though we've already determined they do need to be removed, to get input on mitigation ideas or recommendations that we might have staff consider. One of the things that staff has discussed is actually, particularly with the chestnut, because we are pretty sure that it's a Felix Gillet, to invite the community to take cuttings or propagate it through the seed propagation. So, and I have reached out to the arborist who wrote the report to see if there are ideal strategies for how to actually do that, and I haven't heard back yet. So, but that's one of the things that staff was considering trying to do, a community outreach to do that before we cut that one down. So that's all I have.
Question, would the city be interested in taking a stab at propagating the tree?
We did think about that. Logistics are difficult, and we don't necessarily have an ideal place to raise seedlings, and we don't have anybody on staff that is, specializes in that. So we did think about that, trying to figure out if there's a way to do that.
Has Parks been reached out to on that, or would that be appropriate?
Well, I did reach out to her, our Parks Department as well.
Right. Right.
But yes, I did reach out to her, and that it was through that kind of conversation that we determined maybe the best thing to do is just invite the community to do as much as they can to propagate, an actual descendant of a Felix Gillet tree.
It'd be cool if that happened. It's quite a tree now, so it's clearly problematic. So.
Could outreach be done to like master gardeners or somebody like that as well?
Yeah,
Who might
I think we could reach out to schools, to
Yeah.
master gardeners, and the community at large just before we remove it. That's what I would like to do. So if anybody has contact information, I'd gladly take it.
Note to public. And the sugar maples, anything on those?
Only that they're in the street. They are causing some issues with the street itself and dropping limbs. I actually couldn't find a maple in the Felix Gillet or his successor Parsons catalog, the sugar maple. So I don't know that it's Felix Gillet. But there were definitely some maples in the Parsons catalog anyway. So that one I don't know, but they're nice trees.
But troublesome.
I did have a question about, one of the sugar maples where the arborist, he didn't recommend removing it. He recommended crown cleanup. Could you explain more the reason that Brian was suggesting removal?
It might have been just in response to the property owner who requested the removal, but I can ask him to look at that again and see if he really thought that it needed to be removed.
Is there a next action on that?
Not a next action. I'm really just looking for, part of what I wanted to do was get it out into a public place so that the public was aware of it and, try to get some interest going early. I haven't really thought too much about outreach. We could put something on our website probably, just inviting people on, maybe we could even get an arborist to volunteer to take cuttings, because maybe there's an ideal way to do that. I don't really know how to propagate myself, so.
From the chestnuts.
From the nuts too, and I don't know if there's an advantage to doing it from the nut itself versus cuttings, but the arborist seemed to said you could do both. I just don't have an exact how-to tutorial.
Outside of my realm of expertise.
As well as mine.
Okay, thank you for that, Amy.
Thank you.
So next is item 3, revised sign for Heartwood.
Did we want to invite the public to comment on the chestnut tree? I got word that someone was here to talk about it.
Oh, really? Is there any public comment on the tree removal?
Hi, Jim.
Very much so, actually. My name is Jim Morris. Live just outside the city, Willow Road, sphere of influence. And I did read carefully the tree inspection report from that Brian had requested. There's some serious flaws with it, actually. And some of the determinations, like what was damage to the retaining wall or the foundations, were made. They indicated there was cracking and lifting of concrete. There actually wasn't, that I observed. And I'm a civil engineer and worked in geotechnical engineering, so one of my expertise is retaining walls. They observed that there was 2 inches of movement on a retaining wall nearby, but there's no evidence that actually that tree was impacting the retaining wall, in my opinion. The biggest issue I see with the tree is restricting the sidewalk space, and that can be mitigated, unlike what was stated in the report, that there was no options for mitigation. A few things that were missing is, this morning, observing that tree, it's been cabled up to stabilize the big heavy branches. That wasn't even in the arborist report. In any case, I have a certain amount of time here, I believe. This tree is in the Nevada City Tree Tour, and it is referenced as a Felix Gillet tree. The last catalog they did was in 1900, and they included the American chestnut, which is what the tree, they say it is. The arborist who reviewed says it was Chinese chestnut, so that's a discrepancy right there. And they did indicate in their report that foundation damage was not confirmed during the inspection, and they did say the tree, what they call it, the elephant feet or tree flares were within 8 inches of the foundation. Now, the way this I've observed is when these foundation flares or elephant feet get near concrete, they climb over it. There's no heaving up of the sidewalk. And there's no evidence that the retaining wall was moved. But I think we really need to seriously consider the idea that we're going to remove this tree. And the issue with the sidewalk, at the end of this duplex, the sidewalk ends abruptly. It stops. So there's nobody can walk down that sidewalk for more than a few more feet. And they indicate in the report that maybe 2 or 3 parking spaces would have to be removed to bulb out around the tree. I think that's completely false. As a civil engineer, we could do, my recommendation, where you could do one, if you want to maintain that sidewalk, you could do 1 parking space for a bulb out. But given the fact that sidewalk doesn't go anywhere, just to this duplex, I just don't feel it's even necessary. Because people are already off the sidewalk, walking in the street, because there is no more sidewalk. In any case, I think that's all my comments. I appreciate your serious consideration of this and reconsidering just the blanket removal. There's a lot of errors in this report, and I have to disagree. I like Brian, but sometimes we don't always get it right, and I think this is one of those cases. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Susan McKinney, and I live at 815 Zion Street. Thank you for listening to the community's input regarding the proposed removal of trees on city property. It deeply saddens me that the city's values have devolved to the point that it would even consider destroying the beautiful, healthy, old-growth chestnut tree on Spring Street that residents and tourists alike have enjoyed for decades. That tree has been a resident of Nevada City for longer than most of the people in this room and has quietly contributed to our well-being with its pollution filtering and climate cooling gifts for well over 50 years. Trees are the heart and soul of any place, be it a rural area or a city. They provide homes to wildlife and are a vital part of the delicate web of life we humans too easily take for granted. Trees are our friends, not enemies, who should be eradicated the moment they cause an inconvenience or challenge us to use creative engineering to live in harmony with them. Lastly, I would like to share a photo of something I found when I went to visit the chestnut tree in question. Please consider the residents and their children and how the removal of this magnificent tree will negatively impact them. Thank you. May I approach the branch?
Yes, please
so I
do.
can share
Yes.
this photo with you? I don't know, I think I can squeeze through.
Just don't trip on any wires.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Kathy Wilcox Barnes. Through the years, as the previous speaker just said, we've worked really hard in Nevada City to preserve and maintain our historic trees. And that's evidenced as you go around town, for instance, on Cyril's Avenue, when we were doing sidewalks and work there, we did a bulb out around the tree to make sure that we, and even though it goes out and kind of into the travel lane a little bit, to save a really historic tree there. This is the same case here with these trees, especially the chestnut tree being a Felix Gillet tree, and one of the very few remaining really large specimen ones that we have in town. The Gillet trees have slowly disappeared over the years, and Main Street, the maples on Main Street are the same example. We've done areas where if it's bothering the sidewalk, putting in a sidewalk that can move, but I really do think that unless the tree is so diseased that it's dead, we really should continue to look at ways to try to protect these trees, even if it means doing a few extra modifications to the sidewalks or the street. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Stu Wiles, and I live in an area which is considered Felix Gillet's nursery. I just think it's super important that he get more interest. People have no idea about him, and I think it's really important. I know there's the Felix Gillet Institute, and I was mentioning to Amy earlier whether they've been notified of this possible tree cutting. Anyway, I just think it's super important. It's a fabulous tree, and I agree with Kathy that we need to save what we can with it, and I'm not a public speaker. Anyway, it's super important to do it, I think, and any way we can possibly save it, I think would be worthwhile. Thanks.
Thank you.
Jim Morris again, sorry to carry on. I forgot one thing. In their report, they described the condition as fair, so, it's from excellent to dead, but that means found to have mitigable defects, limited decay, and average vigor. So it looks more than average vigor to me, but I'm not an arborist.
Thanks again. Almost missed the public comment period on that. Sorry, everybody, for my oversight. Thanks for your comments.
Again, we're not really asking for action. It's really up to the city engineer in this case, but I will have Brian listen to the comments that were made today and see if there's any mitigation that he can consider besides removal.
Okay, thanks, and thank you all for making your comments, truly.
Are we allowed to comment on this, or?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's, yeah.
I just have a few quick comments that came to mind while you were all adding yours. One is that most probably it is not an American chestnut, because sometime in the mid to early 20th century there was a blight on American chestnuts, and there are very few remaining in the country, which are heavily protected in terms of location. So chances are it's a different kind. And do any of us know how long a Chinese chestnut lives?
No, I mean, we're all staff has just been guessing that, Felix Gillet, his nursery, I think, spanned just like from the late 1800s to the early 1900s. So we're just sort of guessing that lots of them are starting to age out. I did also mean to mention that we're going to have Bill Falcone come in. He and I have been doing some research on Felix Gillet, and we're going to do a presentation next time we have a light agenda. So, because it is something staff feels is important to get out to the public, and so that they know about this kind of special part of Nevada City's history. And I don't remember. Oh, but we were suspecting that, given the age of the last versions of the trees that Felix Gilles sold, they're probably starting to age out. But I don't know. I'm not an arborist. I don't think they put in their report how long they usually live.
Yeah, I think it would be useful, to know what the species is for sure, and then be able to backtrack to see what the age probably is, to be more certain about its history, because that, I think, is kind of at the center of how people feel about this, but also who asked for the tree to be removed?
In both cases, it was an adjacent property owner.
Okay.
Reached out to the city.
So it seems to me that it would be also good to include them in the conversation if their building is threatened and if they're actually experiencing other issues that maybe aren't present in an arborist report, because the arborist report isn't going to be an engineering report.
And I sent them notice that we were meeting, so.
Sorry, that's not a
yeah.
jab at you, Amy.
No, I know.
I guess I'm just saying that for the context of the conversation of those who came here.
Anyone else?
I'd add if Brian could come back and address those questions, and also the question was asked by the public about investigating the options for a bulb out. I think it'd be good to maintain the sidewalk, even if it is to a limited, it only accesses a limited number of homes. I think it's important to maintain those pedestrian right-of-ways, so if he could address that as well.
Yeah, I'll have him watch the discussion here.
Thank you.
Yeah. So there's no time frame set for this proposed action?
No,
so-
we don't have a time frame yet.
Cool.
And if I may add one more thing,
Yes, please.
I'd like to make a plea to anyone listening to think carefully about where you plant trees, next to your house or under power lines or next to roads, as these are the kinds of things that people did not think about a long time ago, and now it's a constant source of friction for everyone. Please don't plant trees under power lines. Thanks.
Program note, Commissioner Cobden is a biologist.
Yeah, ecologist.
And not just trees, the shrubbery next to sidewalks too is an issue while we're at it.
Thanks, Ron. Okay.
Okay, thanks, everyone. Now, we're moving on to Historic District signs. Item 3, Commercial Street, a revised Heartwood side proposal.
I'm sorry to bring this up. We did have someone make a request to move an item up in the agenda, and
Oh, it was my thought to move it to the architectural review
okay,
section.
no, that's fine. Okay, all right.
That was my idea anyway.
Okay, no, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure we didn't forget to do that. Okay.
In fairness to members of each category.
Yes, okay, fair enough. Okay. Let's see, and I don't know if oh, you're here. You can come on up.
And you
And
are,
I have to recuse myself from items 3 through 4.5 due to proximity of my home and business.
okay. Commissioner Ermshar is going to purgatory.
Yeah.
I'll start. I'll do a quick summary. I think we can still talk. We can talk while she's exiting. The owner of the business, Miel, Shanier Cowan. Did I get that right? Okay. No, I didn't get it right. I can tell by your face. Is requesting an amendment to enlarge one of the signs that was approved at the July 21st meeting for Heartwood Eatery at 237 Commercial Street. The Heartwood Annex. Just lost my. Sorry. The Heartwood Annex would remain as approved at that meeting. So this would just make it so there are two adjacent entrances, but really sort of one business. But they'll have one sign will be slightly larger than the other, and it all if you look through the dimensions, and it's still, even if you add up both signs, both sides, It only adds up to 11.17 square feet. The limit is 24 square feet. So it's really just a enlarge, and everything else is the same.
Everything else is the same,
all
it's just a
those
4-inch enlargement.
And I'm trying to-
Any questions of the applicant from the commission? Any public comment on this item? Members of the public wishing to comment? Either via Zoom or here?
Sorry,
No
I'm
one?
working on getting my shared screen up and I'm not paying attention to participants. But if anybody on Zoom would like to speak on this item, please go ahead and raise your virtual hand if I can get there. Oh, there we go. Okay, not seeing anyone raising their hand.
Okay, and no one here, so any discussion by the commission?
I liked it small, I like it bigger.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
that?
Motion?
I move that we approve the change to the Heartwood Eatery sign, the Heartwood sign.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Cobden.
Yes.
Chair Nye.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Still great looking.
Yeah. Okay. All right, you're done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have item 4, wall sign for Ether Incorporated Heptagon Art Studios.
Yes, and that one, actually, we're going to have to continue.
Okay,
He's still working on his design.
so that's continued till, I suppose, our next regular meeting, if they're ready. Otherwise, you'll let us know.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have to continue it to a date certain.
All right.
Yeah.
And item 4.5, for 421 Broad Street, kiosk sign for Rejuvenation Science.
Okay, let me see, I think he's joining us by Zoom. Oh, there he is, okay. Douglas, are you? There he is. Douglas, if you can unmute yourself, can you just let me know that you can hear us? Douglas, are you able to hear us? He's unmuted. I'm not sure. Oh, there he is. Hi, Douglas, are you able to hear us?
I think you might be on mute.
This doesn't say he's on mute.
Hmm.
Douglas, we're not able to hear you. You have an idea? Ew.
Turn up the volume
Sorry.
What does that sound?
Oh. Okay, Douglas, can you try to say something? No, still not.
Amy, are you hearing me?
Yes, yeah,
Did I-
we can hear you.
I can
Yeah,
hear you just fine also.
okay. So I think it must be on Douglas's end then. Well, Can you just nod if you can hear us, Douglas? Okay, he's able to hear us, so why don't we just go ahead and go through the application? And then, I suppose, I don't know, he's not gonna be able to respond to you guys.
He's off the screen now, and
He might be trying to log back in.
It'd be good to know if it'd be okay with him too to
Yeah.
go without
Yeah.
him being able to present.
I think it's likely we'll have questions for him too.
I know, yeah. Douglas, you are now gone from our video as well.
I like the idea of talking to him while he's driving, though, with the he's someplace very far away, right?
I think he's in Asheville.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Okay.
there he is.
Oh, it says connecting to audio. That feels promising.
Is that better?
Yes, that is better.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give a brief summary, and then the commission may have some questions for you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, so business owner Douglas Becker is requesting approval of a sign for Rejuvenation Science at 421 Broad Street. It's going to hang from an existing kiosk that's in their front yard area. We did approve another sign at this location at the July meeting for the Golden Point Acupuncture business. At the August 18th meeting, DeBecker came in with his first version of the sign. And the commission asked at that time that he remove some color gradation that he had there, center the font, and reduce or increase the font size for science, the word science in there. At the September 19th meeting, the Planning Commission provided further direction to the applicant to consider scaling down the peacock feather graphic and simplifying it so that it reads more like a painting as opposed to a photograph, as well as direction to reduce the logo graphic. Mr. DeBecker has responded with 3 options. I think and Mr. DeBecker can verify, but I believe it's just that he's reduced the logo slightly in each one of the options, but there's A, B, and C options, and I will go ahead and put that on my screen.
Yeah. And the will at the Grass Valley Signs changed the feather to be more like a painted rather than a digital image.
So, yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, any commissioner questions?
Ooh, actually, no, I do have one. Douglas, which of these is your favorite?
I like the first one. I don't like how the last one would be okay with me if it was, if it was raised up and centered in the sign a little bit. I think it's kind of too low. But the size of the logo is fine for me. The third one is, I'm not attached to it being bigger. I think it would look nicer if it was higher, so that it was kind of more centered. Somehow I think he just reduced the size and didn't take into consideration the centering of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with your opinion about option C too. I think it would look better if it were centered too. Could you explain more how he made the image more painterly? To me, it looks pretty much identical to what we saw before.
Well, I told him exactly what you guys said, and he used some kind of filter, so that the I guess the ink itself looks more painted rather than as like a photograph. Because I think before it was more looked more like a photograph image.
It was much sharper, I think.
Much sharper? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think he did what we asked him to. Sorry.
I'd just like to ask Amy, do you have the last version for our reference?
The one that came, so I have one from August and one from September. Do you want the one from September?
The one from September, yeah. changing the gradient paint was a big improvement.
I think part of the issue is that just this image is very pixelated.
Yeah.
Does it seem to you that that option C is just reduced in scale overall?
Are you, if you're
Yeah,
asking me,
I'm asking you
really
'cause
I can't see it at this moment.
Oh, it looks like
But yes, I think overall it's smaller.
because it looks
And I
like
think
the
that the
lettering is.
proportion of the logo to the text is also smaller.
And is that the?
This is the one on your screen is the one that came before us in September.
It looks like you just reduced the saturation.
Okay, is there any public comments on this? And then we'll maybe have a little discussion.
Sorry, that's me. No one in our audience that doesn't look like here. Anybody out there? Anyone out in virtual land want to make a public comment on this item? Please raise your virtual hand. Seen none. Not seen any hands.
Okay, then any discussion among us regarding this design?
I'm fine with any of these. I think that, I think it looks fine. I don't think we need to ask him to make it look hand painted because that would be unfair. It is, I think it came to a really nice place from the first one that looked extremely graphic and, yeah.
No further comment at this point.
Well, I would recommend option C, and as the applicant says, center it in the frame. The logo is still predominant. Personally, I'd prefer to see. We don't do logos as a predominant feature in signage in town. It's not in the ordinance, but in terms of our sign context, there aren't predominant logos generally.
Though we do have some.
There are logos, though they're not the predominant component of a sign in other.
What's the sign that the place on South Pine used? I forget. Is that
Got
like
trees.
half and half? It's like half trees, half the place, maybe?
Thereabouts, I think. It's definitely strong on imagery. An increase in the size of your lettering or rejuvenation science would I think make the name more prominent. It's a fine point. So is there consensus on the suggestion of centering the message in the frame of option C?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So just looking at this, it almost looks like both the graphic and the font size decreased from A to B to C. Would keeping the graphic from C in a centered fashion.
Maybe keep the same font size as the first one and use the logo sign of the third one.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that would look better too.
And that would be a really nice context setter for the other businesses that will hang below it. I
Right,
think
exactly.
I think that's good. So, shall we have a motion?
Motion to approve the sign with the stipulation that the font size from A is used with a centered
image from the C option.
I'll second the motion.
And Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Cobden,
Yes.
Chair Nye.
Yes. And I would like to appoint Commissioner Cobden as liaison.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, that's it, Douglas. I'll get you an approval letter.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Oops, I almost ended the webinar. That's not what I wanted to do.
Don't want to do that.
Nope.
Okay. The historic, the architectural review, I don't see this on my. where
For
are we?
351 Long?
Are you looking to rearrange the agenda
Yes,
right now?
yes.
So item 12 is a public hearing item. It's a conditional use permit. The applicant has asked that I don't know if Kathy is here for that item, but the applicant has asked that we move it up in the agenda if we can. It is an item we have heard and it just expired, so it needs to be re-reviewed and new action taken on it.
So I'd like to ask the commission to consider moving item 12 into the next slot because it's been considered and approved before.
Okay.
Yep.
Shouldn't require any discussion beyond informational.
I think the issue is that yours is the beginning of the architectural review section, of which there are 5 items. Is there going to be a lot of discussion about the sluice box?
I mean, it's up to you. I don't recall there being a lot of discussion when we heard it 2 years ago.
Do we,
It's
what,
it's previously approved, and then 351 Long Street is a pretty straightforward item.
is there a reason why we don't want to have it at the end?
We just had a request from the
sorry.
applicant. That's it. That was the only
Okay.
reason.
It seemed like a very non-controversial item. So is the commission in favor or not?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
All right, I will try
Sorry,
to
Kathy.
be brief in my summary. Let me make sure we've got our applicant on here, actually. Oh, yeah, he's on. Okay, he should be joining the panel now. Daniel, can you unmute yourself and let us know that you're able to hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, all right. I'll just provide a
Good to
really
go.
brief summary and then turn it over to the commission, and they may have questions for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so this property has a zoning district of public. This project was previously heard at the March 21st, 2019 meeting. The Planning Commission approved the Historical Society to put a sluice box, a shelter for a sluice box, the historic sluice box, and it was approved at a public hearing. Construction of the project was sidelined by the COVID pandemic, and the Historical Society is now ready to begin the project pursuant to our municipal code and conditional use permit standards. The use permit expired 2 years from the date it was approved, so substantial progress has not been made, so we do have to rehear it as part of a public hearing process. So they acquired an historic sluice box on loan from the U.S. Forest Service. The society prefers to display the sluice box artifact outside of the existing library building. In order to provide a weather protection, they're proposing to erect a 240 square foot pool shed structure. And it would be located at the southeast end of the parking lot, just outside of the pavement area. The structure will be 52 feet from the southern property line and the nearest property line, which is the nearest property line. Setbacks for the public zoning designation are as approved through the use permit process. But in 2014, when the library was first permitted, they didn't address setbacks because the building was already there and everything was going on the inside. So that's essentially why it has to come to you guys. I think that is all that I have for you. There are a few different motions that would have to be made, one for CEQA because it's a conditional use permit, one for the use permit, and is that it? Yeah, I guess that's that. So just a use permit and the CEQA document. And I'm happy to read those into the record if and when you guys are ready.
Okay, thanks. Any questions from the commission?
No.
Any public comment? No one here.
Anybody on Zoom wish to make a public comment on this item? And I'm not seeing anyone raise their hand.
Okay. So nothing has changed about this application?
Everything is exactly the same.
Expired, and it's primarily for a use permit, correct?
Yeah, and I even used the exact same staff report, just changed some
Dates?
some dates, yes.
Okay, if there's no commission objection, would you like to walk us through the approval process?
Yes, so we'd be looking for a motion to determine the project categorically exempt from environmental review pursuant to section 15301 of the California Environmental Quality Act guidelines, which exempts operations, repair, maintenance of existing public or private structures or facilities involving no or negligible expansion of use beyond that existing at the time of the lead agency's determination.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Sorry, I gotta move to my, who moved? Amy? Sorry.
Worm girl.
Okay.
Seconded by Rod.
Is that on your placard?
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Ermshar.
Yes.
Vice Chair Cobden.
Yes.
And Chair Nye.
Yes.
Motion passes. All right, and the next one is for the use permit. A motion to approve the proposed use permit amendment, subject to the original conditions of approval from the 2014 use permit, and as amended below, or as amended in the staff report, or as may be modified at the public hearing. We had no conditions added. Making findings A through E in the staff report pursuant to section 17.88.20 of the Nevada City Municipal Code.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, that was Cobden?
Yes.
That time? Okay, yeah.
Just trying to trip you up.
Yeah, no. All right, Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Ermshar,
Yes.
Vice Chair Cobden,
Yes.
Chair Nye.
Yes.
And that is it.
Item passed?
Item is passed.
All right. And next, we go to architectural review. Item 5351 Long Street, re-roof a wood shake to composition shingle.
And we have Kathy here.
Hello again.
Kathy, you're welcome to have a seat. All right, let me just get back. Thank you. To the agenda.
Thanks for allowing us to do that.
Okay.
Want me to start talking, or do you want?
Amy
I
will
will start
introduce it.
talking. I'm sorry, my computer is so touchy and I'm not used to it. Okay. So the subject residence is not depicted on the 1898 Sanborn map. It's located outside the map's bounds. Assessor records do not indicate a date of construction, but wood shingle materials, I'm thinking, suggest something predating 1950. But Kathy may have a better idea of when the house was built. Property owner Kathy Wilcox Barnes is requesting to re-roof the residence, most of which has existing composition shingles. The front portion of the residence has original wood shake shingles, which Wilcox Barnes is proposing to re-roof with composition shingle. There's an existing tarp you can see in the pictures that is protecting the roof after several shingles have recently blown off. And that's the extent of my report.
Okay, Kathy?
Okay, I'll give you just a little bit of a background. The house is pre-1900, and it was one of those houses that's built piece by, a little bit, cabin was there, and then they added on. And you can tell that by the roof, the different pitches and what's going on. It looks like it has a second floor, but it doesn't. That's just a window that doesn't open. It's just there. The part with the wood shakes is the front part, and when I purchased the property over 45 years ago, the wood shakes were already old. So
Same shakes?
they're the same shakes. Snowmageddon did a number on it this year. They were already starting to have problems. So about, I'm going to say 35 years ago, it was tin on the back part, and that was replaced because there was no it was just tin on the joists, and so that was replaced with the comp. So I'm proposing, I definitely do not want to put wood shakes on, even the fire pressure treated, whatever ones, that wears off after a bit. So I would like to do it in comp. If you have a problem and want it in tin, or you want part in tin and part in comp, like it's been, kind of half and a half house, I'm willing to take your advice. I'm not an expert on design, so I'll take your advice on it. The one thing I would like to do is possibly, instead of the brownish red comp that's on there, since the house is a light gray, I'd like to maybe put like a darker gray-black combination on it. That's it.
And would that be on the porch too?
No, the porch has existing tin, and that will,
Okay.
the overhang, it's tin and will remain.
Keep
It's
that.
corrugated.
What is that sound?
Sorry, that's my computer.
joining or-
My
no?
No, that's an email
Some-
message that just
yeah, it's
popped
an
up,
alert.
sorry.
Public, Amy has gotten an email.
You've got mail.
Looks pretty straightforward. I went by it today. Cute little house. Any questions from the commission to Kathy?
It sounds straightforward. You don't perhaps have a sample. A lot of times we see a sample of the selected.
I don't. I didn't bring any with me, it's whatever you tell me you want to put on it. If I were to go with the tin, it would be something in a lighter color, and rather than the every inch corrugation, maybe the one that's 4 inches, and then what was on there originally when I purchased it was tin, that corrugated tin, that with every inch or whatever it is, that kind.
Any public comment on this re-roof?
There's
One
not
here.
anyone here. Anyone out in virtual land? I think everybody here is one person I don't recognize, but anyone out on Zoom that wishes to make a public comment on this item, please raise your virtual hand. Not seeing any.
Hearing none. Okay, any discussion from the commission?
No.
Yeah, well, it seems pretty straightforward. I think we generally like to see a sample of the roofing before approving the change, and I think that could be within the authority of a liaison.
Yep.
So,
I nominate Wendy. Okay. And Kathy, I just want to add, I appreciate your willingness to be flexible and seek our input. And my personal point of view is that either entirely doing it in the composition shingle would be fine. I do think from an aesthetic standpoint, it's charming to have the contrast of the corrugated metal on your porch. That's just my opinion, but I think either is doable.
Which is to say composition on everything but the porch?
Right.
Was that,
I think that's what you said.
Yeah,
that's
that's
what's
what-
going to happen
I
anyway,
was
right?
saying if you wanted me
She
on
said
the
she'd do
steep
either.
pitch part.
Oh, to
that's
do
at the
also
front,
corrugated?
If you wanted that to be metal, that's fine. If you want that contrast, I'm
What-
flexible.
What's more durable?
well, the comp is is completely appropriate to the
Yeah.
context of the neighborhood, and
Yeah.
it's already on the other side of the roof, no reason
Yeah.
not to do it. Certainly economical, and it lasts a darn long time. if you
I
get
was a
good stuff.
little concerned if I put metal on the front part, which obviously snow slides a lot easier off it, and then it would build up where the two different roof
yeah.
pitches come together. So, but I just wanted to let you know I'm amenable to whatever you decide.
It seems like any roofer who knows what they're doing will figure that out, right?
Yeah. The
One would hope.
porch roof will certainly be what's there now,
Okay.
the overhang. Oh, and the other thing is the new building requirements. Right now, there are just gutters along the front and the back, but they require them along the side too, so there will be gutters along.
On the gable end?
Pardon?
Yeah, that's
Gutters on the
bizarre.
gable end?
That's what I was told, that they were.
Or is it just the side of the porch?
On the contractor said on the sides of both the house.
You mean on the back side where
Yeah.
it sticks out? I think that she's talking about behind the pitch,
Yeah,
if you look at the photo. Just in the back of the house.
Oh, okay.
along the, yeah.
Yeah, it would just
The
be
comp,
where
where
water.
the comp is now.
Got it, yeah.
Where they should be.
Yes. I thought I was hearing something.
No, no,
it was
it's
different.
along the side
Yeah,
that has the
get
comp
it.
now, but that does not have.
'cause that would be fighting
gutters.
words if you were required to do that.
Not sure how that would
It's
work.
just my
either.
opinion, not an official opinion of the city. I'm all, if you want comp, I'm all for comp.
That's fine. Yeah.
Great, yeah.
Okay, and so how about a motion?
I move that we approve the re-roofing with the comp shingles as requested.
Do we need to call out anything about color approval or anything like that, or?
Typically outside the historic district for residential projects, we don't
perfect.
dictate color.
Do we even need a liaison then?
No.
I thought the liaison was more in terms of the material, but.
Yeah, just
if you guys-
to
and-
say, yeah, fine, because Kathy
We didn't
is.
see the sample, I think was the key thing.
Yeah, just to see a sample. But Kathy mentioned a gray color, which is
Sounds
great and
lovely.
very,
Yeah.
very much in use
I can bring a sample
around
in
town.
and-
So,
I'll second.
motion and second?
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Ermshar?
Yes.
Vice Chair Cobden?
Yes.
Chair Nye?
Yes. And
Thank you very
Commissioner,
much. And
and Commissioner Ermshar would like to be the liaison to.
I'd love to see your sample.
Okay, I'll bring it in, and I'd like to thank you very much. I know being a planning commissioner is sometimes a thankless position, and, comments negative can come up sometimes, but I really appreciate your input and what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you,
really
Kathy.
appreciate what you do, so.
Ditto, thank you. I'll just click my back to agenda button. That's an
I
inside
didn't know
joke.
anyone used it. I will start putting that feature back in.
Okay.
Oh, there was a hyperlink that would.
Yeah,
take
there
you-
used to be a hyperlink back to,
Amy?
It always just seemed to clutter up the report, and I didn't know you guys used it, so.
I didn't miss it.
Especially with these
I did
fun
print this,
screens,
so I can
yeah.
go back and forth.
that's what I did too. So next up, item 6, 311 Bridgeway, window replacement.
And I think we've got this person on Zoom. Oh. She's disappeared from Zoom. Will, would you like me to go through it, or?
Why don't we,
There's no representation?
No, she's not, she's
Maybe move on to the next
came
one.
in.
yeah,
No,
well,
she's-
let's skip to the next one, and I will, I have to recuse myself on item 7, because my home is in proximity to it, so,
And I should state that I live within 1,500 or 500 feet, but do not own property.
so I'm going into recusal mode, and Vice Chair Cobden, despite her,
I believe, Russell, can you tell me if I don't own property within 500 feet, I don't have to recuse? Happy to recuse.
We only have 2 of us.
Yes, that'll be fine.
Okay.
okay, so you're the chair for this item.
Ooh, okay. Fine.
Okay, and just so everyone knows, we skipped item 6 because we didn't have a representative. We're moving on to item 7.
All right, 215 Bourbon Hill Road.
You know, this applicant told me that he would not be able to be on Zoom because he had very bad internet coverage where he's out of town, and suggested he might be able to email me. I don't know if that will work.
Do you see them in the participate?
They're not on Zoom, no.
Okay.
And he did tell me he was not gonna be able to do that.
Should we move it then?
Well, I didn't have a chance to tell him I don't know that email back and forth would work very well. Let me just see if he's emailed me.
In the past, have we not been able to sometimes pass things or deny things with the applicants not present?
We would usually continue it if we
Okay.
can't get them present. But maybe, I haven't heard from them. Let me just send them an email. Maybe we should call Thomas back in, skip this one as well, and just come back to him at the end of the meeting.
Okay. I'll go get him.
You should be able to hear us out there. Maybe you went to the bathroom. He did write to me at 2:11 today and said the internet's bad and he can't really stay on Zoom. But he is available by email. So Mr. Dunbar is on email. He did say they tried to get on a Zoom and they were having
Okay.
trouble. So, yeah, I would suggest we
Move to
on with
continue?
well, at least move on, see if he's able to connect to Zoom, maybe towards the end of the meeting.
Okay, so we're,
He could always just call in and not use video.
Have him call
Landline.
me.
Yeah.
There's a Zoom number that will be connected with the meeting.
Oh, I think he
dial-in.
said, let's see. Okay, I'll mention that he should call in the Zoom number.
Yeah, don't use your video.
Yeah, I see it.
I may yet recuse myself here.
So are we going to do number 8 now
I think probably.
while we're working this out?
Well, I might suggest we move on and then maybe move it to the end of the agenda and decide what we're gonna do.
Let's do that.
So,
Yep,
yeah,
so we're
skipping number
we're-
6 and 7.
6 and 7, moving on to 8.
And then we'll have to come down and take either continuing action on those two or see if we have the applicants.
Okay, so we're now considering item 8, 128 Nevada Street, exterior repainting.
And he is on my Zoom. Oh, now Brian Dunbar's on there.
Do we have an applicant for?
Yeah, but
Item eight.
now my item 7 applicant is on Zoom.
Oh,
Okay, I'll go back into recusal mode.
Let me make sure he comes,
okay.
he can come on.
I'm recusable.
Okay. Brian, are you able to hear us? And can you unmute yourself so we can hear you?
Amy, I know you said you got a new computer, and you are super loud
Oh,
compared
sorry.
to the microphones for the commission. So I have to turn it way up to hear them commissioners talking, and then
I'll see if I
Blasted
can
me
do
when-
something about that.
I think there's a way to turn down microphone volume, but I don't know how.
I don't suppose that's better, is it? Is that better? Now I can't hear you.
It seems better, but we'll have to hear from the commissioners.
Okay. Well, Brian, are you able to unmute yourself? And at least give us an indication that you're able to hear us?
This is Mr. Dunbar.
Yes, yeah.
Technology is not currently making this easy.
It's supposed to make our lives easier.
Yes.
Okay, he's just logged off. I think we should move on to item number
8?
and see if we can get him back later. All right, so I'm going to bring our applicant for item number 8 on. Martin, are you able to hear us? And can you unmute?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
And I can see you. Thank you.
All right, I'll provide a brief introduction here, and then the commission may have some questions. Let's see. So the subject residence was constructed in 1865 and is depicted on the 1869 Sanborn map. It's within the historic district. Though there was no description in the inventory, the historic register inventory that was submitted for the district in 1985. Property owners Martin Pult and Linda Lind are requesting to repaint their residence in hues of tan, dark green, and earthen red. They've provided both on your dais. There's a preferred color palette and an alternate color palette. They are very much like each other. The only difference is the alternate one is specific to the Benjamin Moore historical color palette. If that's something that you guys wanted to make sure that happened, but otherwise their preference is the
Yorktown
one I've
green?
slated. Yeah, well, the Yorktown green actually is the same for both their alternate and their preferred.
I don't have it on my
And
agenda.
in each of yours, he's provided a little dot with it's
Yeah, they just listed it.
it's a range of colors, and the dot is representing the color that they're
I see.
wanting on their house for the various components of the house. And just so you're aware, the main body of the house, the preferred color choice is the Sierra Hills. Alternate is that Brad Street beige, the sort of tannish beige color. The trim on both would be the Yorktown green, that's from the historical color palette. Accents would be like a brick red. The sienna is their preferred choice, which is a bit orangier than the cottage red, which is in the historic color palette. And then the front deck boards, there's a maple shadow is with their preferred color choice, and the Withall brown is the historical color palette alternate.
Okay. Would Martin like to add anything to Amy's presentation?
Thank you, members of the Planning Commission and Mr. Nye. I appreciate being here and your time. Just wanted to give quick background. We've been in this house for 5 years. We love this house and the neighborhood, and we've been, definitely taking care of the landscape and really interested in preserving the property. So the house right now, I'm not quite sure how many years it's been since it's been painted, but one person who's been working a little bit on just assessing the house said it's been 40 years. I don't know that that's true, but in any case, there's definitely deterioration of the paint, and we're trying to preserve some siding and other elements of the house. So definitely need to get it painted. And we definitely are trying to look to the historical elements of our neighborhood and of the house, using that light body. We think the trim really does accent. There's some ornate parts of the architecture around windows and such, and like that, the sienna, the reddish color would be used for that, really to make that pop out a little bit and really highlight those areas. And we think these colors fit in really well with the landscaping. We got browns and greens, of course, around our neighborhood, and various plants and shrubs. And just looking at a few other houses and structures around the historical area, I put a few of those pictures in with our packet, and just you can see that there are a few related similar types of colors to other historical buildings in the area. And I think that's all I have, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Any commissioner questions?
Yeah, what is the window material? Are they still wooden windows?
Thank you. The windows have been updated probably 5 to 10 years. I think they're clad. I forgot what the term is, but
paintable.
they have been updated, and they're more plastic nylon.
So the cladding is probably maybe vinyl and not paintable. So what color is it?
It is white.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Okay. I want to thank you for the really great, thorough presentation and the paint chips. It's really helpful, and really do appreciate it. And the alternate palette. Is there any public comment on this time, either here or in Zoom land?
Anybody in Zoom would like to make a public comment on this item, please raise your virtual hand. Seeing none.
Okay, nobody present apparently, so any commission comments, discussion?
I have an opinion. Oh, go figure. I do prefer the historical palette. I really appreciate you giving us the options. There's something in particular, it's the red to me, that orangier tone is just not as appealing, and in particular next to the Yorktown green. And then, from a greater kind of more technical point of view, I guess, than just my personal taste, I would say that navigating within that historical palette, I think, is really congruent with what we've asked the community to do. And so I feel really comfortable that you can play there pretty freely.
Anybody else?
I personally am not attached to the historical palette in the same way. I think that, especially because it's trim, it's not going to be as bright and noticeable. Although I appreciate Commissioner Ermshar's opinion. But personally, for me, I think that when everything kind of pans out, it's not going to be as noticeable if it's historical or not. I think that the historical impact of it is going to come in the details and the way in which it's all presented as a whole.
Yeah.
I would agree. I mean, I am indifferent between the two, so.
And I agree with what you're saying. It's a strong point. We do ask people to stay within the historic colors, and yet in spirit, all your preferred colors are right there. So I think you've done a really great job. And if you have strong feelings about your preferred color choices, I'd be absolutely fine to go with your preference. and, you know, just the deference you've shown us to provide the option is notable. And so that's, so if, is there a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
To approve the preferred
The
color
preferred
palette? Okay.
colors.
I will second the motion.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Ermshar,
No.
Commissioner, or Vice Chair Cobden,
Yes.
Chair Nye.
Yes.
All right, motion passes 3-1.
Right.
Thanks
Thank you
very
very
much.
much, and we will consider your comments. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Martin.
Thank you.
Kick them. They're just staying.
Okay.
So do we have applicants for item 6 or 7?
We do, actually.
Hey. Which one, though?
Which
We
one?
have, they're both on Zoom right now. So do
Okay.
you want to go back to 6?
Okay.
Is that what we want to do?
Yes, 6. We'll go in order again.
Nothing about this agenda has gone in order.
Bridge. They're windows, yeah?
Just 1 minute. Stevie, are you able to hear us, and can you unmute?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, thanks. I'll go ahead and give a brief summary, and then the commission may have some questions. So this is an application for window replacement at 311 Bridgeway, which is the Woodbridge Townhome development. The subject residence is a unit within the Woodbridge Townhouse community constructed in 1983. Property owner Helen Kavanaugh is requesting to replace 6 existing mold single-hung windows and replace with 6 slider windows, replace 1 picture window with an awning window, and replace 1 single-hung window with a double-hung window. All replacement windows will be by the manufacturer renewal by Anderson. And Stevie Sprouse is the window, this is the Anderson representative, or the window installer contractor that's representing the property owner in this case. And that is all I have. I'll try to pull up some of the exhibits, though.
Okay, would Stevie's who we have, would you like to say anything to add to what Amy Wolfson said?
I don't have anything particular to say necessarily. I mean, it's
Okay.
the feedback you guys give. This is what the homeowner wants, and so just hoping that we could get this by. We're doing red rock color on the exterior. Interior is white.
What was the exterior color?
And so they just want the operation of the windows to change is the biggest thing.
Sorry, Stevie, what was the exterior color you said?
Red rock.
Oh, red rock.
Yep.
It's like this.
The paperwork I sent, it literally, I don't know if it's the exact same, but I couldn't tell the difference.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
I'm curious if there is like an HOA or some kind of CC&R process that this has already been vetted through?
I don't believe there was an HOA. Typically, we go off of our homeowners mentioning that to us, and there's a process that basically if there is an HOA, yes, that they get approval beforehand, and it looks like as far as I see, there wasn't any information regarding an HOA.
I think I understood her to say that they wanted her to get approval with us in the building department first, and then they seek approval from the HOA?
Okay.
Did I understand that, Stevie?
Possibly, but it legitimately on our project, it doesn't look like there's any sort of HOA involved here. I could be wrong. I'm not necessarily the person that deals with that, but usually it's notated and I don't see anything about it.
My understanding though is if it doesn't clear their homeowners association, that's a problem on their end.
No, yeah.
So
Yeah.
our approval doesn't need to have anything to do with that. We may need to reconsider it if they have
If they change.
some problem there, but as presented, that's what we're here to approve or not. I do have a question. Are these are replacement windows that just sort of get put into the existing opening so the trim remains? That's a question for Stevie. I'm just curious.
The trim comes off. Stevie, did you hear that?
Yes, I'm sorry, we're reviewing the project. It's been a few weeks, so.
Also, Stevie, do you happen to have your phone on speaker, or is there any way you can speak a little bit louder? We're having some trouble hearing you.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
So these are full frame units, and let me just see. So we're moving the entire unit, including the frame. Oh.
It's just the material that will encase the window with, so the trim shouldn't be affected.
Okay. So we are using brick mold exterior, so the trim shouldn't be affected. And it will just be sitting on top of that.
Okay. Any other commission questions? Any public comment?
If anyone on Zoom would like to make a public comment, please raise your virtual hand. And not seeing any.
Okay. Any other commission discussion? None from either. I'd entertain a motion for approval as presented.
Sure. I make a motion that we approve the replacement windows as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Ermshar?
Yes.
Vice Chair Cobden?
Yes.
Chair Nye?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Stevie.
Thank you.
Oh. And now Mr. Dunbar is not on again.
Oh, boy. We'll wait until he shows back up.
So,
Shall we, let's see,
Spring Street?
shall we skip on to 300 Spring Street?
Yeah.
Item 9. Do we have an applicant? Hello.
All right. Waiting so
Flesh,
patiently.
That's right.
I think I have to recuse myself again.
Hoping she'll never have to do this again.
First time ever doing this, so
We're terrifying, right?
a little bit.
Is this Pine Street right here?
Yes. Okay, and she's right here. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
good. I get to
I'll make you a
stay.
better map one of these
Yeah,
days,
I
Wendy.
get to
Sorry.
stay.
We're
I
just
did that
checking
really
to see if
dash
we
that
need to
off.
recuse
I have to
ourselves,
leave.
you know,
Effective
small town.
purgatory, as Tom puts it.
Yeah,
You determine you do not have to.
Oh, great.
cool.
You're good. Not according to this map.
Okay, good. Okay, I will provide a brief introduction and then they may have some questions for you.
Has no architectural integrity.
Sorry?
Do I introduce
No,
myself?
oh, you can introduce yourself. How's that? How about
Yeah.
that?
I'm Sarah Ramos. I work for Rebecca Coppin Architecture. My Rebecca is the one that owns the building, and I'm here representing her.
Okay, Sarah, thanks for joining us.
So the subject property is located on the 1869 Sanborn map, but it does not depict the existing building, which according to the National Registry inventory was constructed in the 1930s. And the inventory describes the building as follows. This filling station converted to a laundromat and hot dog stand has no architectural integrity, which I thought was a little harsh for a building.
Yeah, that is
No architectural integrity.
real commission shade.
That is exactly what it says, though, in the inventory.
I saw that.
Didn't know that.
The property owner, Rebecca Kaufman, is proposing to replace, remove, and add doors and windows, and is also proposing to repaint the building in hues of gray and black, and she did provide a couple of color swatches. I'll pass around. And this is in order to make it marketable to prospective business tenants. The improvements that are shown in the attachments of your staff report show each of the existing and proposed elevations side by side, which I always really like when they do that. So it's easy to tell what the changes are. Specifically, Kaufman is requesting the following: to replace in-swinging patio entrance doors on the south side and an out-swinging code-compliant patio door with an increased door height from 6 feet 8 inches to 8 feet. Replace windows on the east side with a code-compliant patio door. Remove a single in-swinging door on the south side. Add a single out-swinging door on the west side. And provide Corten metal awnings over the new door on the west and the east sides. Paint the stucco portion of the building a dark gray. She says grayish blue. I don't get blue out of there, but
I see the blue.
It turns a little blue in the sun.
Okay.
We have that.
I haven't looked at it in the
building.
sun. And the window trim to be the darker bronze color, and I'll pass these around. And then refurbish or replace the lower horizontal siding with a natural wood or dark stain. And they did provide a door and I think a window exhibit, which they provided after the staff report was written, so I'll provide it here. But it's essentially the same material that is on the Tinnery building,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Which material is that?
The door and windows. Doors, yeah.
What, I'm sorry, I didn't
The
follow
windows are
this.
getting refinished with the paint color, the black trim that you have in the same paint chips there. To my knowledge, I don't think there's any window actually being replaced. I know we have one that's being taken out to get replaced
with
as
a
a door.
Okay, that's right, yeah.
So I'm really visual, not very auditory. Is there a way somebody could just like walk me through on a picture so I get what's happening?
Yeah, Amy, I think you said there were side-by-side elevations,
And
but
it's
I'm
not in
I'm not
there.
seeing it
You
in our
don't see
packet.
side-by-side elevations?
No,
Did I
no.
forget to add them in there?
I see the
If she's
longer-
unable to, I'm more than happy to point out. those.
I can pull them up, but Sarah can, I am sorry, I didn't add the improvement plans in there. Yeah. Going to my-
This building is in the historic district, yes.
Yes,
Right.
it is.
It's right on the corner.
Almost there, sorry.
And these colors aren't from the historic color palette.
I'm gonna say I'm not sure on that one, but I know Rebecca was going through a bunch of different colors, so. I'm actually, didn't know there was a historical palette. Tell you the truth. Maybe she would, but I'm not sure.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Is there access to that like online, or is there for
I
historical?
think so.
palette?
Also, if you
It's
go to
referenced in
Benjamin,
the packet,
yeah, and if you go to Benjamin Moore, I think they actually have, like, on the available paint samples, there's a whole, like, section that says historical.
Okay. She may pick those from them. They are Benjamin Moore
That's the Oracle.
paint, so. Who knows?
I'm a paint nerd.
If you go to the one side of the building, there's like
The
10
art
different
collection's
colors.
really good.
Oh.
Yeah, it's- I have.
So I'm
I
just
think I
gonna
do too. Wait, or
zoom
is it
in as we
chalk?
need to.
Maybe both, yeah.
Oh, I didn't see
It's
the,
white.
Very nice.
did I see the floor plan aspect of that?
It wasn't in the
No, I
packet.
didn't,
No,
I
it's
did
not
not
in there.
attach it to your packet.
Okay.
So, but essentially, so this is the, right, I'm looking at the existing, right? So this is the existing double in-swinging doors, single in-swinging door, and then window here and window here.
And then there's two windows in the front too.
Oh,
In
right,
between.
right there.
Yeah.
And And then the new floor plan, or the new door and window plan is outswinging doors. This is changing to
The
a,
windows are staying the same.
okay, but this was a door, this was.
No, actually, the door is located here between the windows. So that. it's
Currently.
all taken
I
out
see,
and it's
okay.
filling in
So you're replacing the current door with wall.
here.
Oh, I scared
And
myself.
then the window that is here would get replaced to a door. And then this window would stay, and then the new door here. So, and then, yeah.
And the doors are all 8 foot high? The doors are all 8 foot high, all of them, yeah.
Do
And
we
the-
have samples
With
of
the
the doors?
transom also above.
Yeah, they sent me a separate, here, I can go back to the improvement plans in just a minute, but let me show you the door they sent me. So it's the same doors that are on the Tinnery building.
The only
okay.
difference is, yeah, a transom.
I see.
We're looking at, like, if she shows the elevations of what we submitted, there shows a transom over the doors.
I'm sorry, you are selecting a transom or no transom?
To have a transom over the doors, yeah. Or at least in the elevations, we have
So
it
an
that way.
8-foot door then with a transom as well?
I didn't realize it was 10 feet tall in there.
And I'm sorry, but are windows, are there windows, fixed windows, picture windows remaining? So the header
Okay, so
height goes up and down?
The front two that are facing Spring Street are fixed. And then the one facing Pine and then the other side are, they have a fixed window and then double hang on each side.
Is there an elevation view in the packet?
Yes, there is. Here, I'm going to it. That's a sample of the color, but let me move on to the. So this is where they had the side by side.
Aha.
So this is
Great.
existing, this is proposed. This is the east side.
Yeah.
So the
Pine Street side.
Yeah, Pine Street side. And the south side, which is the
Spring
Spring
Street.
Street side. So, oh, you can see that, I see the transom windows here.
Yes, on both of them, yeah.
I see.
And then the colors are, that's wood on the bottom, this
Yes,
horizontal.
and right now we're not planning on touching that at all. We're just submitting, just to get the stucco paint to the blue-ish gray, that dark blue gray, and then the trim to be painted with the black and the doors to be.
Didn't it reference some plan for the wood in here, though?
Well, you would
I think
have
it was just
to,
a I think that you guys just said you're gonna redo it exactly the same.
Yeah, it was.
And repaint it.
well, and
It's
you'd have to
stained right now,
put,
it's not painted.
Not
restain
painted,
it.
I think right
It's
now.
What did she
stained.
say in there?
you're gonna have to replace wood where the
Painted
door is
building
filled in.
irons.
And there's already some replacement patches in there right now.
Replace patio, remove on paint building, add awnings. I don't have anything about refinishing the wood.
Oh, I did think I saw something about that.
I did, let me see if I can find it.
I see a note, refurbish or replace lower horizontal siding with natural wood dark
Yes,
stain. So it's a
that's
solid,
what I
solid
thought.
color
That's what
stain
we're-
like it currently is, but not necessarily in that color because it looks green in the photo.
Yeah, it's like a,
It's not green. It's a little,
it's
it's
kinda
like that
olive.
age, but
kind of like an olive, isn't it?
Okay, do you have a proposed color for that?
I can't see anything.
not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, currently it's kind of an olivey, taupey brown.
Oh, at the bottom?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could also be, if it's next to a white, it's gonna look that way, and then when it's next to a dark slate, it's gonna look a different way, right?
I walk by it every
You
day.
could probably step out on the balcony here and take a look.
Yeah.
Yeah, true enough.
Yeah.
But there isn't a color called out for it, and it's gonna be a color. right? So we've only got a stucco color and a door color.
Yeah, and
Door and
that's-
trim, but not the siding.
Okay.
Not the
yeah,
wainscot color. But it's shown as black, I think, in this rendered,
It almost looks black, yeah.
yeah. Okay, are there, let's see.
Public?
No, are there any other commissioner questions?
No.
Okay, any public comment?
Keep looking this way, but I know you guys are here for something else.
What could they be here for?
Well, now I've messed up my screen. Hold on. Okay. Anybody out there in virtual land want to make a public comment? I have 0 attendees now, which does not bode well for our applicant that's not here.
You're here.
I don't know if this is relevant, but is there a reason for, or hi, I'm Bree, do I have to say that?
Hi.
Is there a reason for the changes? Like, do these help a new business that's coming into this building? Like, what's the reason for the dark color? What's the reason for just the new doorways and stuff? Just
a
wondering.
tenant improvement kind of thing. My boss owns the building. She'd like to, I guess, update it. I mean, I know the stucco is, there's parts of it that have been a little bit patched up and there's areas that are cracked, so I know she wants to try and get that to where it's not showing.
Yeah.
Door wise, I mean, I know she had this store Tysa in there, the clothing store, and
That's the original right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
The current.
put what it presently looks
Yeah,
like.
currently, yeah.
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 And
I
I note
would say
the,
that's pretty gosh darn, yeah, because the Tysa sign's there.
Yeah.
I note the application does say it's to make it more marketable to potential clients. or
But I
tenants.
guess the only thing I have to say is I think it'd be great to look at some historic colors, just because that's what you guys ask for.
Thank you.
I do think that this is going to be a question.
Oh, okay.
But like a little bit of a preface, like Bree brought up, is there's some specific, flow of traffic changes that kind of imply that there's a specific use that it's being geared for maybe? Are these choices being driven by the landlord or by a prospective tenant that?
The landlord by Rebecca,
color
it's one of the, that I know, she also, I mean, we have the entries along Spring, but like, if we could have like another entry along Pine, so then like, if anything occurs in the parking lot or of that area, they don't have to have pedestrians walking all the way around to the main entry and going through the parking lot per se, because I know right now that the parking lot that consists on the property is on Pine Street is closed off, so it'd be, I mean, I know it's not far walk to get to a main entry, but the fact that we're taking out a secondary entry in the long Spring Street, so she would want another secondary entry for Pine Street, and then I know like the back door, the single one that she wants to be put in is more of a possible for future tenants if they want like an employee door instead of having to unlock one of the main doors.
Okay, any other
I
questions?
hope that helps.
It's a lot of doors.
Thanks. Okay, any commission discussion, commentary?
Personally, I love the taupe as it is. But that's just an opinion. I mean, this is her building, and if she wants to paint it, I think somehow the dark colors they seem very dark, but otherwise I think that, if she thinks that this is what's going to make it more marketable, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, so I'm not, you already heard on the one that was close to historical colors. I would love to see historical reference for the colors, and this is where I get concerned about not sticking to something that's pretty easy to say black and white, so that we're very subjective with each case that comes forward. And so I think as a starting point, historical colors, if they still continue to be in that color palette. I do think the overall composition matters, and these color choices are really reminiscent to me of a different project that happened in town that took a really charming historical building and, in my opinion, doesn't look so anymore. And I think anytime you introduce black, it looks really modern, especially when you take kind of a mid-century modern, building, the lines of that building is a mid-century gas station. And so I just have concern about how modern that would look. It feels like maybe like a Portland type building or something to me. And then furthermore, what's being presented is incomplete. And so I just have concern about the direction that the overall project is trying to go from a color standpoint. From adding doors, it's a lot of doors, for like using it, you lose a lot of wall space. I think about that in terms of who can use it on the inside, but that's not a problem for me. I'm not using the building, and I don't think it would look bad, by any means. But in terms of actually the colors, I'm not in favor.
Mr. Brown?
Yeah, I'm okay with the doors. I think, we've removed one from the front and moved it to the side. I understand the desire likely to get foot traffic in from Spring Street or from Pine Street. And so I think that's fine. I think the one on the west side is fine too. It's in the back. It's not going to change much. In terms of the colors, I don't see these as being incompatible with the historic district and the colors we look at too. So I'm more along the lines of Amy in this opinion.
I respect Rebecca's work greatly. Her attention to detail and stuff I've seen is really amazing. That's my opinion. And I will also say though that the impression, this design is modern. It's a modern aesthetic, a modern take on an older building, and it's something that I mean, it's great. The colors are great. There's another project on Broad Street that is similar, and it looks great, but it's not. This is in the heart of the historic district, as is the other one. I feel that I feel it's very modern. The colors are harsh and very fashionable, and very of now, and don't refer to historic colors. They don't refer to downtown Nevada City. They don't refer to its context. All the buildings around it are much more mildly and gently colored, and I think there's lots of room I'm not going to name other projects which have navigated this in a way that is creative and sharp and also within a historic context.
Wouldn't the black kind of also complement things along Broad Street, like the railing above on the intersection, like right over here, as well as the National had used black as well, so would it couldn't tie in? I know National just got redone, and it looks
there's a lot
beautiful, but
yeah. And again, this is my opinion. I think you just have to be careful when you use black, is my opinion, because it can go so modern,
yeah, that's true.
particularly
It can
with
go-
the architectural style of this building already. That's my opinion. And then furthermore, putting it with another really kind of sharp, modern, dark, bold color. I think that's in part for me where it just draws really modern.
okay.
I think I want to amend something, what I said earlier. Even though we just made this small exception on a previous color palette to the historic guidelines, the reasoning for me there was that it was in the trim. It was like a small detail. It wasn't the main color. And I think what's important here is that it's the entirety of the building. So when it's the entirety of the building, I really do think that we need to be more thoughtful about sticking to that script.
Okay.
And I agree with what you guys say. Perhaps there is a color in that palette. I don't know that there is that would work with you on this, but with the national and with the railing, those are our accent colors as opposed to the primary colors.
Well, the black would be, I guess, I mean, if you consider that as a primary color in the sense, but even though it's an accent in my book, only because it's the trim of the windows and then it's the color of the doors, it's not like such a.
I suppose when we're saying, I don't know, when maybe we're all referring to a different color when we say black because they're both so dark. I'm referring to the slate color,
Okay.
which I also love, but I do agree it has a very, it dominates the view. And I don't know that that's going to be a bad thing. A lot of it depends on how you dress it up. If there are going to be plants, if there's going to be stuff outside, is it going to be all parking? Is it, there's just a lot more. And going back to what Wendy said, it's incomplete in this sense that
The other thing that's missing is the roof. I can't imagine that you'd propose to paint that building that dark and then leave this like sand-colored composition.
Is it sand or is it gray? That could be the way that the light's hitting it.
Well, in any case, it's light. It's light, and is there a plan to change the roof?
For, the actual roof.
The color of the roof?
Right now, I think that's just going to be remain. I'm not exactly sure yet on that.
Yeah, I think, so for me, I guess where I'm at is I would have an easier time envisioning, first off, I'm having a hard time feeling good about the color choices, obviously. But furthermore, even understanding the full vision without specifying the wood stain and the roof. Because I don't think the roof would jive with even what's being proposed today.
With the commissioners, I'm looking back to, the color that was from this one, which I think was within the historic color palette. Is that correct?
Green,
Which I find not that far off of this. I think it's still, a relatively dark color, which seems to be what the applicant is looking for. Is that something that would be
Are we going to ask them to
acceptable
use
to the commission?
Well,
I'd like to
Yes,
throw
I would love it.
If I may, this color here, I love these colors.
Right. Yeah.
They're really cool. I
them
like this
together.
color a lot. I'd paint a car this color. No, I mean.
I've had a lot of that color.
I probably have painted a car this color. In a Victorian color scheme, a painted lady color scheme, you could use this color. It'd be a seasoning and not any part of it. Wouldn't be the main dish. It wouldn't be the main flavor. Same with black. Like in Sacramento, this is getting a bit off the subject of this particular application. But in San Francisco, there are lots of shingled buildings, like in Pacific Heights, with black trim, black shutters. But the main story is the shingles. And in this design, the main story is steely blue and black, which is a very modern composition. And with the doors that don't have any detail, it drives it even more into the modern. I just strongly feel it doesn't fit its context. The Tinnery building, where the doors are referenced from, it's got all the tin. That's an amazing composition. And it retains so much of its history, and yet it got sharpened so beautifully. But it retains that historic feel. That was treated with such reverence, and so that's a really brilliant way to do contemporary in a historic context. And there's not a lot of historical reference points in this building, but it is in the heart of the historic district. So it's a bit of a strong modern statement, and I just really strongly feel that more of an effort to make reference to its surroundings would be called for. I don't have any problem with the new door placements, the window changes, the transoms, the shed awnings over doors. It all sounds great.
Sorry.
But the colors are just modern.
I have a question. I mean, I think maybe we should also be asking ourselves the extent to which, I mean, are we even allowed to say no to a color if it's in the historic color scheme? Russell?
That's a good question.
It is a good question.
Because we have been called out for taking a mile when we're given an inch, so I want to make sure that we're also being faithful to our jobs here. Russell, are you there?
Yeah, can you repeat that question?
Sure.
I
Are we?
couldn't hear you clearly.
If an applicant comes to us with a request for paint, to paint their building a color that's within the color scheme that's allowed, are we allowed to say no?
And I can try to answer that. I mean, you guys are looking at the whole composition. And I will just say that the historic color palette for the Benjamin Moore, it's referenced in our design guidelines, but it's not a hard, fast rule. I think
Okay.
you guys are looking at the whole composition. There's probably selections of the historical color palette that wouldn't go well together, and you guys certainly have, it's your purview to comment on those colors.
I want to make sure we stay in our lane.
Well,
I think,
it
yes.
seems logical if we can approve one that's not in it, that we could not approve one that is in it. You know, it's really just a matter of approving the color and the context. But this project reminds me a bit of that little roadhouse across from Northridge. What's that called?
The motel, then.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
And
yeah.
so I remember the discussion we had about that period of architecture and how it was about simplicity and lightness, and that is the feeling that I get from this building about kind of more what it wants to be, even though it doesn't match some of the old brick and Victorian buildings around. It does feel historic. It doesn't feel like something somebody would just build today. And so maybe that's helpful to think about.
I think that was a much more dramatic change, though, with wood timbers and.
I'm not even talking
tin
about how
and all
we
that.
pulled him back, but rather how, like, the personality.
reference point.
Yes, the reference point of the personality of that kind of style. Yeah.
And so you're making the same
Kind of suggestion about this
comment
is
here.
that this feels like a kind of mid-century gas station that wants to be, kind of still look like one. You know, that's,
Which is okay.
yeah.
I don't know why I looked at Amy when I said that.
So we're considering not just the color palette, we're not, you know, like we're considering the entire composition. And so my impression of the composition is that the composition as such doesn't belong in the historic district of Nevada City. Because its elements are so spare and simple to do colors like these with very plain doors takes it right into a contemporary feel boldly, and not unattractively. It's just the context
Definitely.
of historic.
Like
Nevada
such a
City.
bold change.
Yeah, it's not bad taste, it's just
Yeah.
not the right placement. It's, I'm sure it'd be lovely.
So to follow on to Wendy's logic then, I mean, would we like to give some guidance then, like we did with that example, to find, you know, maybe work with the Historic Commission to come back to some
I like that.
1930s gas stations and color palettes and such, and bring something like that as reference to it?
And if I can just make a suggestion, if you're okay with the windows and doors, and Sarah might be able to tell me if this is a problem, but I've been hearing from a lot of contractors that it's months, months out to get materials. So if you're okay with those changes, it may help them, and Sarah, correct me if that's not the case for you guys, but it
Depending
may
on
help
what
them if you're.
Materials are, but yeah, it could be months. before we
If
get-
you're okay with that part, you can continue the color palette and approve those
The
details.
structural windows and other design changes.
Yeah, and the doors are black metal, so that would be really committing
She
to
was-
the color.
Yeah.
They're
Looking at
paintable?
actually wood
Wood, okay.
doors. The black, the pictures that showed of the tinnery, there
Those are
is
clad.
more of an example of
Gotcha.
what it would look like.
But those are clad doors on the tinner, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I would love to see samples, if there's, of what the doors, do they have any panels, inset panels, raised panels?
They look exactly like what the panels
Okay.
are. The doors would be on the tinnery, just
Just
wood.
wood, gotcha.
Without any sticking,
Prime?
any
No
molding-y or.
No.
Nothing ornate,
Yeah.
it's very plain.
Just
Yeah, so
straight.
color is key. That sounds like a good path forward, Amy, to see if we can approve the other improvements. So are we all, is there a consensus for the placement of doors and windows and transoms and the shed?
Overhangs.
Do we know what kind of hardware is planned for the doors?
Not at the moment, no.
Not like a square mission style, or, I don't know.
I'm not at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of it yet. I mean, she sends me here, but there's certain things like
Right.
small details.
Is
like
the
those.
hardware something that you would order along with the door right away, or it would,
It
okay, it would be?
yeah, it would be most likely ordered with the doors.
And the reason that I'm being so nosy is because, again, my impression is so strongly that the intended aesthetic is pretty modern, that it just leaves me with a little reserve to think perhaps the idea for the hardware would also look really modern. And those little things, I think, do resonate. I noticed that the light fixtures are down outside now. And so, you know, I would be interested in knowing what the plan is for replacement. You know, all those little things resonate and take things to a different era, especially when the building itself is so simple.
I think that, I wonder, hear me out, if, it seems to me that this is sort of a blank slate, this building, and depending on what kind of business is in it can really affect how we interpret all of these details and the colors as well. And part of me feels, I wonder if, on the one hand, she's trying to attract business and wants to keep kind of like an open range of aesthetics available to whatever business she may attract, or if there is a business in mind, if they have an idea of what they want, it would be helpful to know which is which. Does that track?
I don't know what, I mean,
If there is a business in mind and maybe they are the ones driving the color choices or whatever, if there's like a reason for it, that could change the whole interpretation of things.
okay.
I don't know if I agree with that, though, because I'm just
For me, it
looking at the
does.
building, and like, my opinion of the colors is just based off the building, not how it's gonna be used.
And my take on that also is that it has to do with the expectation of other businesses in the area to be in a historic context. That's sort of the agreement that other businesses have made.
By choosing to
With-
do business here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And note that, the business can change over time too. It's a, rented out
that's right,
space.
that's a good point.
So,
Yeah,
My
yeah.
battery is running low.
On your new computer? Some
Already.
computer.
Do we have to pause?
You guys can go on, just let me know if there's something, but
Yeah.
I don't necessarily need to know, don't make a motion yet.
Okay.
So, my opinion would be to, what do we call it, postpone or move, or?
Continue.
Continue.
I'm like, what is that word? To continue with,
Some
maybe
guidance.
bringing some alternate color choices back, and also a little more detail on the overall plan for the wood finish treatment, if there are any plans for new lighting and door hardware, and also any roofing plans. Again, it seems like that would want to be cohesive, so.
Because, I agree with you, because the architecture doesn't say anything very clearly. So all these aspects, roofing changes, if any, lighting fixtures, and then color, of course, tell the whole story, because there isn't like, lots of Victorian detail to say this is a Victorian
Yeah.
building. So I agree with Wendy that a more complete presentation of the composition. So we can.
I just had one more comment.
Yeah.
I'd note too that as in the past, coming in with historic examples. If this is a 1930s gas station, if there's historic examples in the area that you can use to reference that for suggested color palettes and such, that makes it easier for us as well.
Thanks, Rod. Yeah, that would be really helpful.
So like, in other words, like if it was actually like a dark gray or something like that, or?
Yeah, so the example that Wendy was referring to before, there was a early 20th century motor lodge. The applicant worked with the Historic Commission, found some historic pictures and examples like that, and used that to reference the changes they were making.
And it's looking amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
So it's looking amazing. We're always in support of people wanting to improve the buildings around here. It's, because the outcome, especially when it's done congruent with, our values around historical preservation, it's a great benefit to the community, So, yeah. But I think working with the historical committee was really a good outcome on that one.
Yep, so ideally, a set of improvements would fit the historic context and also add historic value, add to the story, as it were. There's not a lot of gas station left of this gas station.
Right.
No, there's not.
So, it doesn't, so that would be a challenge.
Pumps are not required.
Right, regarding your suggestion,
but I think I think you can find pictures with colors and things like that I think are the key things that we're looking for here.
It's a little hard when historical pictures when they're black and white.
Yeah,
It does give you.
You notice none of them are black.
Yes,
I mean,
correct.
So I think that's
you get
part
some
of the
idea of
point, is their
contrast and
light.
such. Yeah.
Like dark and then very dark.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It wasn't a
Wasn't
thing.
done.
And somehow that the National just hacked it and they pulled it off. But there's also a lot of architecture to say I'm an old hotel.
And the body color is really reminiscent of brick tone, too, I think is part of it.
It wasn't an accident.
No.
No. I mean, it's definitely a contemporary hack, but it feels terribly, terribly historic.
Terribly historic.
Tremendously.
Very, very.
At least it has architectural integrity.
Anyway, we shouldn't be talking about another project. I hope this is helpful to you, and I think, so we will be looking for a motion to continue, and the windows and doors and awnings are good.
So I'll ask you to make two motions then so one for all the elements as presented except for the color choices.
And we will
And
need
then-
to see
and then
lighting and
another-
hardware and the rest of the composition.
Sure, yeah, additional, yeah. And we can provide direction. So you can approve what she's provided, what they've presented, except for the color palette, and then provide direction in the continuance motion to provide additional details.
Like the handles and stuff.
Yeah, for the overall composition.
Can I see the rendering with the transoms again, please?
Yes. 1 minute.
I presume the intention of the transoms is for more light, but furthermore to call out like, hey, this is the entrance, or?
I think it was really just to have more light. I know there's not a lot of airflow in the building, so we talked about having them be operable.
And
So
what
that
is
way
the?
there can be some kind of airflow
Okay.
in the structure.
So they'd have screens. What is the material of the over the
Sorry, I don't know why.
little
The awnings?
awnings? Thank you.
We were wanting to do a corten metal over the awnings. We haven't picked out a color
You said
palette.
corten metal?
Corten metal.
I'm not familiar with that. Is that different than corrugated?
It's a brand. They do a lot of stuff like corrugated metals and that style theme.
It's designed to rust
Yeah,
to
but
a controlled degree.
beautifully rust. Like we have a house that we've worked on that's putting a rusted red Corten metal on their roof.
Cool.
And
So it's not necessarily the style, it's the material or the brand.
I'm sorry, the what?
It's not necessarily the pattern of the metal, it's the brand and material?
The
It's not
brand, yeah, I mean, we still haven't picked out what style, but most likely it won't look like corrugated metal, but it would probably have like a little flat and then go up a little and then flat again and.
Oh, whatever, yeah.
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 It will most likely fit in the palette where it's gonna show similar to the doors and windows with color palette choice. If we're gonna,
Do you know the timeline for this project?
no, again, she owns the building, it's whenever she.
So I think there's just enough questions about that. We'd
There's
like to
just
see
so,
that too.
I just
Yeah.
feel like I
Yeah.
can't approve anything today personally. I feel like I don't have enough
So
information.
you're not okay with the doors and transoms?
I don't think so, because I just feel like there's so many different gaps and
Okay.
kind of, I just would rather just see it. That's one opinion.
I am okay with the doors and the windows and the transoms.
I am as well.
But not the awnings.
I'm also okay with the awnings.
I'd like to know what the fabric of the awning is,
Yeah,
though.
Yeah.
I would like to know that too.
material is.
And if, I'm just wondering, in terms of project timeline, when new doors are installed, how do the awnings integrate with that? And would you even install doors without installing the awnings, and therefore we don't even need to approve the doors today? I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, if we approve doors, but you can't put them in anyway because we want to approve awnings later,
I think it was
then
more
to
the
me,
lead
it's
time
just
to
like,
get the.
oh,
like
to
the lead
order
time to
that.
get
I
it
gotcha.
ordered.
Yeah, gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, order doors.
Sorry, I'm ready to make a motion.
Make a motion.
Do it.
I motion to approve the doors, windows, awnings, and to continue the rest. Color, details, hardware. Perhaps we could add a liaison to the hardware.
I think we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
The liaison would come after the next presentation. So that you don't have to.
I was just thinking if the doorknobs, the other details need to be ordered with doors, then those decisions, do they?
Oh,
Do you
that's
know?
it, that.
Hardware can usually be added later, can't it? Or, I don't know about commercial hardware.
Or at least switched out more easily.
Okay,
Like the hardware for the handles and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could probably switch them out depending on,
You
they'll
can
probably
suffer
come with like
through
a standard one unless
cheap
they.
doorknob for a little while,
Yeah.
if need be. All right, so back to my original motion.
Well, hang on a second. I mean, just to be kind to the applicant, sometimes doors do come with the handles, especially if they're multi-point fastening type doors. They come with their own hardware, so you may very well be, that may be a point.
You know what, actually, I motion to approve the doors, the windows, the awnings, period. I am not bothered by the detail of a doorknob personally, my opinion. You only notice it when you get up close.
I'll second.
The awning too, Tom?
No, not the awning fabric, just the.
That it can be
building of the
built.
awning.
That there
It
can
can
be
have a
awnings as shown, but we need to see the roofing material.
How's that written then?
I bet you Amy Wilson has an idea as to how to do that.
Okay, so I hear a motion to approve the doors, the windows, and the awnings, and continue the color details, including the fabric and material details of the awning.
And add to the continuation the wood paneling how do we phrase that?
The wood paneling of.
I
Sorry,
think, I think that's
the-
colors. I think that's how I interpret it.
The siding?
The siding.
Yeah.
Is
The
that under?
stucco siding?
No,
I know what
not, is it wainscoting? Is it? Okay. When I think of wainscot, I think of beadboard, not, but just a simple girl.
I mean, I would think that that would fall under the color palette, but.
Great.
It's,
Yeah.
Okay. Well, because you have to patch it. You're gonna have to patch it where the door is.
oh,
But
We're
whatever.
assuming they're duplicating
If it's
what's
if it's
existing.
I'm
like
being
for
fussy.
like, yeah.
That's my job.
And lighting.
oh, and provide lighting details.
Oh, exterior lighting
Yes.
stuff, okay.
What about roofing? I mean, you would bring that if there's a plan for it. If it's staying, it is what it is. Yeah.
If there's a roofing change in mind, that'll be another aspect
That
of
would
the
have to
application
come.
that would be added. So we're not approving any roofing change at this point because it hasn't been applied for.
I mean, if anything, we brought up the roofing.
I definitely brought up the roofing.
Yeah, we brought it up. I don't think that they had a plan to change the roofing.
Really?
Not that I'm aware of, I don't think we had a
I
plan.
would just be surprised to see
I remember
that dark
asking actually
building with
Rebecca
no
that the
roof.
other day, I'm like, are we doing anything with the roof? Like,
Maybe we're
are we
just
doing
hinting
corn
about
down there?
roofing.
But I think if
Consider
if we're gonna end up replacing the roof at all, I think
bet
she'll
it's
probably end up
metal.
just doing the same thing as the awnings
That's what I
and
think.
match.
That's my
That would be,
guess.
that would be.
So we have a motion and
Yeah.
a second.
Yeah, I think we do.
Yeah.
Tom
I
did
did.
very
Oh.
quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Ermshar.
Yes.
Vice Chair Cobden.
Yes.
Chair Nye.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Just to be clear, you're approving the black paint scheme for the
No.
Stop
doors.
it.
No, not
You're
the black,
right.
but at least the door placements, putting in the new doors and taking out the one.
No color
Okay.
approval is
No color,
expressed or
making
implied.
sure. Just wanted to double check that.
The doors are wood and the color to be determined.
Okay.
Well put.
The doors are not clad.
They're wood doors. That's
Yeah.
what I understood the presentation to be. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It wasn't that bad, right? Or was it?
It was kind of bad.
Back from Colorado, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Do we have do we have item 7?
I don't, there's nobody
Item 7, folks.
representing that project in my Zoom. Trying to remember if they said anything to me, but I don't think so.
Shall we move on to item 11?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and we don't have Mr. Dunbar back with us yet.
Is that you guys?
Which one are they?
Aren't you glad you came in person?
I'm like, am I gonna miss my plane flight? Am I gonna miss it? We have like 20 more minutes.
Oh, I think I
Could be a
can't be
very
here for
long
this
agenda.
one.
I apologize, guys.
427.
We appreciate it.
Broad.
This should be easy.
Hello. Welcome.
Thank you.
Get to my right space.
Where's my map?
Oh, okay. Okay, so this is an architectural review application for the exterior alteration to 427 Broad Street. Bree and Huck Ingram are the prospective property owners. Escrow closing very soon, sounds like. So the subject structure is depicted on the 1898 Sanborn map, though the registry inventory, and this building surprisingly does not include a description either. There was a conditional use permit for the bed and breakfast use, which was issued for the property in 1986 and then updated in 1991. Owners Bree and Huck Ingram are proposing to repaint the entire structure in a white hue and replace the wood deck skirting with either cement or indigenous stone or retain the existing material. And they are also proposing to replace the decking like for like that generally doesn't come before you, but because it's tied with the rest of it, it's within the scope of the application.
And I have to step out
Or are you
because of
within?
proximity to my house.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be neighbors.
And they did provide a color swatch here.
And the white that's proposed is, I believe it's the same white that you used in Lola, the dining room at the National, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to go see it big in scale, you can go see it in the restaurant.
There's white in that room?
Lola's, yeah, it's
So
all
it's this
white.
one, correct?
And then dark wings.
How did I forget?
So we are talking the single one on this side, correct?
It's the same color.
Oh, yeah, it's the cloud white.
Yeah, it just has two different names.
Oh.
From Benjamin
I feel like there have been multiple very tricky, like,
Yeah.
visual tests today. We've had, there's the sign with like the 0.5% change.
Are these alternate colors on the back?
Oh, yeah, so it says, I put this together, I don't know if you have that, but it's
Yeah, that's-
either OC 137 or 967. They're the same colors in the Benjamin Moore swatch.
Oh, I
Okay,
didn't
because
catch that.
there's another one on the back of this.
Those three are not. So on the front of that, where it says 967,
Ah,
little
I
guy,
think she just took the swatch and folded
I
it
just
over.
stapled
Yeah.
it on the front.
It's the
Oh,
single-
okay.
it's
That's
the
what I
single
thought
color.
happened.
All right,
so I
right.
didn't even
So,
do
just so
those.
there's any confusion, Benjamin Moore often chooses the same color with multiple numbers. I don't know why.
And she did provide a rendering of what it might look like in the packet there, and I've got it up on the screen.
Okay, any questions from the commission, remaining commissioners?
When you write, what is it, native stone? Is that,
Yeah.
or? Indigenous stone. Where, is there like a place that you get that? Is that?
Yeah, so like similar to the stone house, I don't know if you have this there, but similar to
Yeah.
the stone house.
Is
stone,
there-
Or like what you see on Broad Street, like,
I'm
because
just-
basically.
I'm curious where it's coming from. Is, like, is there a provider in town, or?
My guess would be from one of the quarries. We would probably have whoever does the masonry work wind up actually getting the material for us.
Okay.
But my guess is that like Parks Bar, Ridge Rock, there are a couple of different local quarries that you can get gravel and stone and all of that.
I'm just clarifying because sometimes you get requests for putting stone faces on things that are actually coming from completely different areas, so I
Right.
appreciate the
Or like
distinction.
veneer, yeah. I would like to match it, to make it continuous with what's happening on Broad Street. This house was raised because it didn't originally have a foundation, so the skirting's wood and it just deteriorates over and over.
And
So-
it looks like there's brick in your rendering. Is that also an option?
No, it's not.
Looks
brick. I think
red.
It's just I think it just printed weird in color.
Because it actually looks very nice.
Are you
Yes,
referring to
brick.
the steps?
Yeah.
Brick would be pretty too.
Yeah.
Mostly I just want something that's gonna last, that is a historic material that's gonna last, so our deferred maintenance over the years isn't just reoccurring and rotting, because that's why the deck is currently rotting and needing to be replaced.
Yeah, it looks like there's some structural stuff going on. I went and looked at it today, and I've worked on projects like that.
Yeah.
It looks like there's some stuff going on under the porch
There's a
that'll
little
need to be,
lean and-
yeah, need to be addressed.
Yeah.
Cool.
Rod, did you have any questions?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward.
So you're proposing like actual stone, not
Not veneer.
not veneer.
Or an actual stone that is a veneer, just, basically I would like to do it cement.
Like on a block base
to
or
start.
something? Like an actual masonry base?
Yeah, I mean, they would pour cement, like how they did across the street, like at the Baker's building, like how they just redid all that skirting and the stairs and the flower beds, starting with cement so that it's, structural for them to have something to put the
Right.
stone on. But I would obviously defer to,
Whoever,
yeah.
I don't know if Dan Reinhardt's still around or.
I've been talking to Bear, is that his name? Mike Bear? I'm just throwing out names.
Is this
In my phone.
the mason who lives next to Pioneer Park?
That's Dan
That's
Reinhardt.
That's
That's
Reinhardt.
Dan.
Yeah, but I would just use somebody that is used to this stone and knows more than I do about it.
Any public comment? Anyone in the
Anyone in the audience? Anyone out there in Zoom wish to make a public comment? We do have one. Matthew?
Hello, yeah, Matthew
Yes.
Coulter. I've been trying to comment, and I'm glad you finally saw my hand. Related to the last issue and this one too, it's nice to see lighter colors coming back because it will be less to cool the house, and it seems like heating is a huge expense these days. And as well as the history locally here and the historical colors that were used at one time, it just seems like we're really getting away from that. And I'm just watching, especially facades on buildings being changed dramatically. Something that the Historical Commission posted yesterday says Nevada City used to be painted to protect brick buildings and from the elements. In this instance, white would have been the easiest and least expensive paint color to access. Later, black was used, and finally the National sprung for more expensive dark green color. So, yes, it'd be really nice to, even though all the old pictures are in black and white, you can't really see the colors, to just imagine when you walk, because the painting the gray fence across from the movie theater was such a rigmarole, and that caused so much disturbance. And if you notice, the building has been defunct for so long, and they just had to have it painted gray. And gray is really not the way to go in black. Thank you. I'm going to grab this call. Thanks for letting me speak.
Thanks,
Thank
Matthew.
you.
Okay, any commission discussion?
Oh,
I think that means he likes the white.
That's, yes.
That's what I got.
That's what I heard too. And did you have anything to add to, did you guys speak? Yeah, yeah, no?
Well, I mean, this house used to be a parsonage house, which I find kind of charming, but that's part of the reason why I'd like to take it back to a tone that would have been of that time. But yeah, white was kind of the thing, and I kind of want to make the house look more historic. It looks a little bit 80s, early 90s to me currently, so I'd like to make it fit
I'm with
in
you.
more.
Any, because I'd love to make a comment, make some comments.
No, I think this is great. I'm excited to see what you guys do with it.
Me too.
Thank you.
The stairway treatment as it is now is it's just so sad. So,
Yeah.
you know, I like that, you know, the little trim that, not to make fun of it, but
Yeah.
but that'll be great. The wooden skirting is like totally within, you know, within the historic context. It's all over the place, and although, you know, a nice masonry base for the porch would be, that's also totally within the context. So if you want to do that, go to that extra trouble to do that, then I think that's awesome. Seems like a brick stairway or a brick
Border or something.
yeah, like that would be more historic than stone. I think a white house is very prim, and it's kind of a brave choice. Not a lot of people are doing it, so I think it's I like the white personally a lot.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I do have a question, just because we added it on here, but I don't know what the protocol is for trimming a huge tree that's like on your house that
You're allowed
happens
to
to be
trim.
growing in somebody else's yard.
You can trim it as long as you're not trimming it to the extent of killing it.
Okay.
then,
And
yeah.
what if it's not growing on my property?
Oh, then you
Talk to the
definitely need to
neighbor.
get your neighbor's permission, yeah. That's outside of the scope
Okay.
of what I can advise, so.
Okay.
And generally good advice.
You're right. Yeah.
I move that we approve the change in color and the
Masonry.
the masonry change, or indigenous stone, I think is what it was, right? Request.
Well, I'd like to just
Oh,
interrupt
okay.
your motion. So
Sure.
are you guys okay with a brick stairway, or would you like to,
A stone stairway would look awesome too, if they can do it.
I I think it mostly comes down to our overall budget. You know, we're gonna be renovating, well, not renovating, but cleaning up a 7-bedroom, 7-bathroom house and trying to make it more accessible to the public. The outside is very important, but it might be something that happens in phases, especially with the weather. So like, the most important thing is to get the decks redone so that the property is actually safe, because it's currently not. So once the deck is rebuilt, if we have to slap on a wood skirting just to get through the season, and then come spring, we enter into this phase of stone. You know, if it's snowing for 3 months, I'm not gonna get somebody out there, you know what I mean? So it's just, that's why I put all 3 options for the skirt.
Okay, let's see. I think we need to have a clear declaration of what your plan is, though.
My plan is stone.
In that sense, we would need a timeline.
Okay.
Or could these progressive details be approved by a liaison?
I think that might be a good way to go. I mean, if you don't have an issue with either one, you can give them the options for both the stone and the wood.
Or the wood's a like for like now.
Yeah, so the
So, I
woods,
mean, they could
they could
continue,
kinda
they could
just do that
replace
one.
that and continue that.
Right.
And then replace it with the stone in the future.
Well, that's a good point, in which case then it would be a much easier approval. If you want to do wood like for like and then eventually do stone, you have permission eventually when you get there.
Yeah.
They just have to complete it within 2 years, which is the
Within
time
2
frame.
years.
It'll definitely happen.
Okay, yeah.
So we can approve 2 options, correct?
Yeah, we've done that
Yeah.
before. You guys have
Okay,
done
so
that.
you're
So the stone or the brick is what you're getting at?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, wood or stone skirting, and I think, would you like to make a statement about the steps? It's the steps, that's what I was talking about, brick.
Well, currently, I put the 3 options, which is the like for like, which I don't know how much approval that needs. And then it would be either cement, then eventually turn into stone, or just stone right away. But again,
Okay.
like a lot of it
Oh,
depends.
like cement treads and then a stone facing?
We'll like see what's on the building currently, like where the flower bed is, like covered it with plants, but how all the buildings have sort of that like cement curb wall, and some of them use it as they're skirting under the house, and some of them use it as like a flower bed, some of them have it as both, but that's just how like all of the buildings are in downtown Nevada City.
Yeah.
So you know how like across the street, I don't know what that address is, but how the Bakers just had to rebuild the house when the one burned down.
416.
So that's all cement in front.
Yeah,
So that would be like, if we had to do that as our phase 1 kind of thing. But also, again, we're entering into weather, so.
right.
If yes, we can finish it within the next 2 years.
Okay,
like,
so
yeah.
you do a cement base and then continue with a stone facing, or make a decision about that as you go. So,
Yeah.
The only question mark I have is that if you did the cement base first, I'm trying to figure out how you would get to the stone part without, would you remove the cement from there, or?
You'd put it on top of it. But
Because-
again, I want to have a contractor come out there and go through it all with us.
Yeah,
And
in this case, I would imagine that the way that I've seen that kind of masonry done before is with larger stones, in which case it would make it very difficult to get it in. You would be talking then about like a rock facing, which I wonder, I don't know if they do that around here.
would there be an overhanging concrete curb if the stair tread was concrete, and then a recess for stone? I mean, that you'd have to learn that from a mason, how you're gonna how you're gonna proceed. So I think approving all of your options as fine, the like for like skirting. I think approving all of your options and then understanding that you need to work with a liaison from the planning commission to give like approvals of your material choices as you go.
I nominate you.
So I'll withdraw my motion, and I will let you make the motion, Tom.
I move we approve as presented, with all options as presented, to be approved by appointed liaison.
You.
Who is the chair?
Who is me?
I'll decide that after the motion's approved.
Can we say other than if it's like for like?
Wait,
Like if we just decide
Oh,
to
if
put
we
the
just
skirt
put
back
the wood
on?
skirt on, we can just do that without having to
Does
see.
liaison need to approve the like for like? Their first phase.
I don't think so. I think that's just automatic.
it's, yeah.
Just part of the deck, like for like situation.
But it'd be nice to reach out to the liaison anyway and say that that's what, 'cause
It's a pretty simple process. Just,
Yeah.
you just email me, and
Okay.
we'll email it to Chair and I, so.
Perfect. I second the motion.
Okay. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Vice Chair Cobden, sorry.
Yes.
Chair Nye?
Yes.
All right.
I
motion
appoint me liaison. I'm really looking forward to what you're going to do
And now
tonight.
hopefully you can catch your plane.
We're excited.
Yeah, I spent, 3 years on the Holbrook and National and then stepped away, so it's kind of fun to have this little project of our own on Broad Street. Yeah, and bring the community in for cool stuff.
I didn't realize when I saw you, I didn't connect that while I was like lavishly complimenting the design work on the National.
The terribly, terribly historic paint colors,
Was
that's
it
my
terribly
fault.
or horribly? Was it
No, it
awfully?
was terribly, terribly.
At first, when you were saying terribly, terribly, I was like, oh, no. But then it went good, so that's good.
Oh, yeah. I have a lot of feeling about it, all of which is positive.
Good, that's good. It was a good team, so. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How many more do we have?
Well, that was it,
We have
except
item-
for our items of,
We have item 7
Have
still.
they returned?
he said he was available via email. Let me see. He was on as of 3:30. Says he can't call in, not having Lex staying connected to Zoom. He says he can call or text, but I don't have a phone to do that.
I'm sorry, are we not doing the Lindley one?
That one, she's not here.
Okay.
So if you guys want me to do that one, we can. Oh, and I'm sorry, I'm just forgetting, she asked me at the last minute to continue it. She said we were gonna be moving
right.
to November, so, never mind.
Let's continue that item,
we go.
shall we?
Continue
I
both.
think that sounds good.
Did you want me to go through the one at 215 Bourbon Hill, or?
I think it would be best, sorry to jump on, Tom.
Please do, go ahead.
I think it would be best because it's a more complicated proposal. It's a residence above the garage, right?
Yes, yeah.
It seems like the kind of thing that we should have them present for.
Yeah, Amy's asking if we want her to do the introduction, but do we need to do that, or should we just continue it?
Let's continue.
Let's continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will let them know. I'll have it on the November meeting.
Do they live far?
I think they're just out of town. Yeah. No, I think they do live here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The application listener is living next door.
Okay. I think I did mean to pass this out to you guys before. I just had someone make a comment. They're all the same, but they each have your name on them. A comment on, and you guys weren't actually involved in the extension of this subdivision map, because it was council's purview to do an extension. And it's just been a really long map extension process, so because of a bunch of state extensions. And anyhow, we had city attorney tell us at one time that was the last extension, and then now our new city attorney says, well, we still have to take the request to council. So council extended it, and she's a neighbor of the property. I did reach out to her and talk to her about it, so she's just unhappy that the project is keeping on going, but if he doesn't start the project soon, we can't indefinitely extend it. Although the state apparently can.
I am curious, so in my limited knowledge of
thanks.
CEQA, I know that one of the ways that you are notified as a resident is through the newspaper.
Yes.
And you do not necessarily have to be notified if you are a neighbor in the mail. It's one of these tricky things about CEQA, and I wonder if.
Oh, no, we do. We do, every time we have a public hearing, like the sluice box one, we did notify, it's the public hearing process, it's less CEQA, but, CEQA is involved. But we have to publish in the newspaper and send it out. In this case, this was just a request to extend the map. It wasn't to re-look at the project.
Is this why the neighbor here was not notified?
Yeah, and I did take her, so we don't have a notification process for extensions. I did take her email address, and I've got it in a folder so that I can, the next time, if there's another extension request, I can let her know, at least via email, which I do try to do.
Yeah.
If there's not a formal requirement to do a notice, I do try to reach out via email if I have an email address. In this case, this project was so long ago approved that I didn't even know really who the players were.
So specifically, Ms. Susan is reacting to what?
The council, you guys didn't actually take any action. It was the council's extension of the project.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, I'm just passing it on. But I wanted to let you know I did reach out to her and had a discussion with her.
We've reached the end of our agenda, and I hereby declare us adjourned. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah. Don't forget, October 27th is our special meeting.
I'm excited.
Wait, this is a special meeting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's our workshop for Commercial Street.
Okay. Okay.
You didn't respond to me. I made sure, because they set that date at the last meeting.
Is it when my email was bouncing emails back? Because my Gmail, it gets full. I will delete thousands of emails and then it will still.
I don't know.
Gmail, if you're listening.
October 27th at 3 o'clock. And I will, sorry, I know you want to bang the gavel. We'll probably meet, they're doing Cashin's leasing stuff here, so we'll probably meet at Robinson's Plaza. So.
Really?
But we're not going to have the meeting there,
Don't
because
be
the whole
outside.
idea is that we're going to be walking up the street on
I
Commercial Street.
cannot
so.
hear when we do stuff outside.
I know, but we were always planning on going up and down Commercial Street to do this phase of the workshop, so. And then we'll come back to a meeting room with information after we gather it at that.
Last time there were like jackhammers and.
Yeah, that's true. They were
So-
digging up Commercial Street. That's what
But
they
it
were.
was also being on top of the highway.
No, I was gonna say, I go to the merchant meetings out there, and it's the same problem without jackhammers.
okay.
It's not a good meeting venue. It's a lovely idea, but you don't get.
In
the
this
level of
case, the idea is to go physically experience Commercial Street while we're deciding where plants to go. So it was always going to be outside. I thought, initially I thought we would start here
Right.
and then go there, but I think that given, the room's now occupied all of October, so we'll probably meet at Robinson Plaza.
Sheila, you'll send a confirmation
I
email of
will,
that.
yes, yeah. But I'm
And
going
with
to
that-
Maui,
And
so.
with that.
And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.